Today I'm going to share with you how to get started using Powtoon. Anyone can use this tool to create animated and engaging presentations. Let's get started. The easiest way to sign up is to use your Google account. You can log in with Google, Facebook, Office 365, or LinkedIn. I already have an account, so I'm going to log in with Google. Once I've logged in, it takes me to a page where I now need to determine what type of Powtoon I would like to create. Since I'm typically instructing and explaining, I'm going to select Explainer Video, and immediately I see 3 templates that are available to use, but I'd like to see what else is available, so I click the See More button. And I now see there are many more templates that I can use. Something you'll notice is at the base of some of the templates, you see Pro Plus. If you see Pro or Pro Plus at the base of any template, that means that it can only be used with a paid account. However, I want to narrow my search down to templates that might fit my purpose. So I come back up to the template category of Explainer Videos, and I click on the drop down where I see Education is what I have selected. And I have an option of teacher templates, student templates, or I can click on all. I'm going to click on teacher so that I can narrow down my choices. And as you can see, there are far less templates available for the teacher category. I am going to select school rules to model for you. So I'm going to choose Use. And once I have selected that, it's going to bring me to another screen, which is the Edit and Create mode. Since I'm going to need to make some changes to the screen to fit my needs, I'm going to switch from Edit to Create. And now you see on the left side, there is a column that looks similar to PowerPoint or Google Slides. However, instead of thinking of these as slides, we're going to think of them as scenes in our presentation. This particular template has 11 scenes, and each one can last up to 20 seconds. However, since I'm just sharing some information on how to get started, I don't want to keep all of the slides, so I'm going to delete the ones I'm not going to use. In order to do this, I just click on the scene and click Remove for each one. And I'm going to do that until all of the slides are gone except for the first 3. However, if I thought, well, maybe I'd like to get that last slide back in, I just click the Undo button and it brings it back. If I wanted the 2 slides before this to come back, I just click Undo 2 more times and those slides are brought back as well. However, I'm going to move forward with my 3, and now I see there's an option for a blank slide. If I want to add a blank slide and start from scratch, I click blank slide, and you can see that you now have a clear slate to create a slide any way you want to. But again, I'm going to take it away because I want to just focus on my 3 slides. Now that I have the number of slides I want to work with, I can start making some design decisions. For instance, if I want to change the background of my slide, I can come over to the menu on the right-hand side where you see all of these icons, and I'm going to click Background. I can come right over here and select Pick a Background Color, and I can choose from some basic colors, or if I'd like to create my own color, I can come to the color bar, move the cursor along the spectrum, and when I find a color that I really like, I can go ahead and add it to the queue by clicking the plus sign. Now that color will be available for me to choose whenever I want. If I want to use a picture instead, I can scroll through and choose some other backgrounds. Perhaps I want an abstract background. I can click on the background of my choice and it instantaneously is put into the scene. However, if I decide I don't want an abstract background, maybe I want a picture, I could come up to Flickr, select that icon, and scroll through to see, is there something that I could put in my scene that might work? Well, I like this one right here that has the sun coming through the clouds, but as much as I like that picture, I don't think it fits my purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and select undo, and I don't like the abstract, so I'm going to select undo, and it brings me back to my nice bright blue background. So now that I've made my background choice, I'm going to move over and make a change to my avatar because this really isn't the avatar that I want. So I just click on the avatar and you will see that a menu pops up at the top of the image. And since I'd like to change it out, I'm going to click swap. And on the right side, you see there are many avatars that have now been put out there for me to choose from. So I'm going to select the one that I want, and immediately the avatar is replaced with my choice. If I would like to change the pose of my avatar, I can click on the icon, select a different pose. If I'd like to flip the direction of the avatar, I click on the flip icon. Or if I'd like to make some more substantial changes, I click on the settings and another menu pops up to the side. One thing that I do consider is the animation. And this refers to how many times the animation will play in a loop. Typically, an avatar will play 4 times in a loop. You can increase that number so that it is consistently playing throughout the length of the scene, or you can decrease that number so that it plays just once and then stops. A lot of times I like when an avatar comes on, there's some animation, but then it stops so that the eye is directed to the content on the screen with no distraction. So once I have made the changes to my avatar, I can now move over to the text and make any changes I need there. What's interesting on this scene is that there are 3 different text boxes for 4 words. Why is that? Well, the reason that we have 3 different text boxes is because there are different fonts. In Powtoon, you need to use more than 1 text box if you're using more than 1 font. You cannot choose 2 or more fonts and keep them in 1 text box. This works for me, so all I need to do now is click on the text and type in the text that I would like to replace it with. And I can do that for each box. And I see in the second box, it doesn't fit in 1 line, so I just need to adjust the bar. And I'm done because I want my scene to say, welcome 4th grade students. So now I'd like to see what is this going to look like in action. So at the bottom, we have a play slide button, and all I need to do is click on that play slide. Well, that did not look good to me at all. So I've got some changes to make. One thing that really stood out to me is that 4th grade, the way it looks here, didn't show up that way in action. So I'm going to go ahead and just expand that box a little bit further to make sure it does in fact stay on 1 line. So if I look at my timeline, at the bottom, I see the number 3. And what that means is when you click on it, you see that there are 3 items. These 3 items all come in at the 1 second mark. That's not something that I want to happen. So I'm just going to click on the one item I'd like to move, make sure that it's highlighted in blue. Then I go under the timeline and I can move that icon or text to whatever time I'd like it to enter at. Now I see there are 2 things that come in at the same time. Welcome should come in first, so I need to move the word fourth over. And I'm just going to make a couple of changes across the bottom to see if I can't figure out how this is going to work. So once again, I've now made some changes. I see that each thing on the screen is going to come in at a different time, but I want to see how that's going to look, so I'm going to click Play Slide. That actually looks a lot better, but I still don't have it the way I want. I know that Powtoon slides can be up to 20 seconds, so I'm going to go ahead and add a few seconds to my scene. And then I'm going to move each one of my text over just a little bit. And then I'm going to do something really interesting. I'm going to come up to the settings for each text box, and I'm going to scroll over to Effects. And I'm going to change the way that the text comes on the screen. So I think one of my favorite ways for the text to come on the screen is as if it's being typed. So once I click on Type, I can then click outside of that text box. Another really interesting effect is to write. And that has a hand that writes the text across the screen. And then I'm going to go back to typing. But before we test it out, I want to show you that settings menu one more time. For the font, when you click the settings menu, you can change the actual font that you're using or the size of the font. If it's bold, italic, or underlined, you can change the alignment, the color, the effects, and the arrangements. So that's a great menu to familiarize yourself with. So now that I've made those changes for the entry of the text, I want to see what does it look like. So what am I going to do? I'm going to come right down here to the Play Slide button, and I'm going to try it again. I'm really happy with the way that came out. The one thing you really have to work with in Powtoon is the timeline. It takes a while, it's trial and error. You can move things around back and forth as many times as you need to, and you just have to keep working with it until the timing in the scene is exactly the way you want it. After you have everything the way you want it, and I'm just going to leave slides 2 and 3 the way they were in the template, you come over to Preview and Export, and this is going to be how you work on getting it to the publishing mode. So we're going to go ahead and click on Preview and Export. And that's exactly how I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and click Export. And now I've got some options on how I would like to export the presentation. So I can create the presentation. It's called School Rules. If I wanted to add a description or a tag, I could. I'm going to select the category of education. I'm going to make it public. I could keep it unlisted if I'd like to. And then I'm going to go ahead and click Next. And I'm going to export my Powtoon. And that's all there is to it. It may seem a little overwhelming at first, but the more you practice, the easier it gets. Good luck!